I am Zara, a 30-year-old Black journalist. A mysterious letter led me to uncover that my old friend and others were victims of a major corporation's illegal human experiments. Through dangerous pursuits and confrontations, I exposed the conspiracy, freed everyone, and brought the mastermind to justice. Before we begin, don't forget to subscribe. Get ready for real emotional and thrilling stories from Black adults that will keep you hooked till the end. My name is Zara Thompson, and at 30 years old, I've carved out a comfortable little niche for myself in Portland, Oregon. This city suits me perfectly. Rainy days that keep everyone indoors, cozy coffee shops on every corner, and a vibe that's progressive but not overwhelming. I work as a freelance journalist for the local paper, the Portland Chronicle, covering everything from city council meetings to human interest stories about neighborhood heroes. It's not glamorous, no red carpets or breaking national scandals, but I love it. There's something satisfying about digging for the truth, even if it's just uncovering why the local park's funding got cut or profiling a community. Activists making real change. My days follow a predictable rhythm. I wake up in my small apartment in the Alberta Arts District, brew a strong cup of coffee, and settle at my desk overlooking a quiet street lined with colorful murals and towering evergreens. By afternoon, I'm out interviewing sources or typing up articles in a cafe, and evenings are for unwinding with a book or a walk along the Willamette River. That all changed on a crisp autumn Tuesday. I remember it clearly because the rain had just stopped, leaving the air fresh and the sidewalks glistening. I'd spent the morning finishing an article on a new food cart pod opening in southeast Portland. Satisfied with my work, I submitted it and decided to check the mail. Something I usually do sporadically since most correspondence comes via email these days. Tucked between a utility bill and a flyer for a local farmer's market was a plain white envelope. No return address, just my name and address handwritten in elegant looping script. The postmark was smudged, but it looked local Portland area. Curious, I carried it upstairs along with the rest of the mail and set it on my kitchen table. While I made lunch after eating, I finally picked it up. The paper felt thick, expensive, almost like old-fashioned stationery. I slid it open with a butter knife and pulled out a single sheet folded neatly in thirds. The message was short, typed in a simple font. The truth hidden in the darkness is searching for you. That's it. No signature, no explanation. Just those 9 words staring back at me. I laughed at first. A prank, obviously. Maybe one of my old college friends is messing with me. We used to send cryptic notes during journalism school for fun, pretending we were undercover reporters, or perhaps a tip for a story. But it didn't feel like that. There was no context. No hint of who sent it. I turned the envelope over again, checking for clues. Nothing. I even held it up to the light, like they do in movies, but saw no hidden watermarks or anything dramatic. Still, something about it nagged at me. The phrasing was eerie, almost poetic. The truth hidden in the darkness. It sounded like the start of a mystery novel, the kind I devour on rainy weekends. The sender claimed to be an old friend, but the handwriting on the envelope didn't ring any bells. I racked my brain. Mia? We hadn't spoken in years, not since she moved away after graduation. She was always into dramatic stuff, but this seemed too vague even for her. By evening, I'd mostly pushed it aside. Prank or not, I had deadlines. I cooked dinner, simple pasta with veggies from the market, and settled on the couch with my laptop to edit photos for my next piece. As night fell, Portland transformed outside my window. The streetlights flickered on, casting a warm glow over the wet pavement. I love this city at night. It's peaceful with the distant hum of traffic and the occasional bike whizzing by. But around 10 p.m., as I was getting ready for bed, I heard a faint rustling outside, like footsteps on leaves. I froze, listening. Then a scrape, almost like someone brushing against the bushes below my second-floor window. My heart skipped. Portland's safe, mostly, but break-ins happen. I tiptoed to the window and peeked through the blinds. The street was empty, illuminated by a single lamppost. Shadows danced from the wind, swaying the trees, but nothing moved. I told myself it. Was nothing an animal, maybe a raccoon rummaging through trash? They're bold here, yet as I lay in bed, the letter's words echoed in my mind. The strange noises replayed. Was someone out there, watching? Sleep didn't come easily that night. For the first time in years, my routine life felt disrupted, as the spark of something bigger had just ignited. Little did I know, This was only the beginning, an unexpected path that would pull me into shadows I never imagined. The mysterious letter sat on my kitchen table all night, mocking me as I tossed and turned. By morning, the strange noises from outside had faded into memory. But those words, "The truth hidden in the darkness is searching for you," were burned into my mind. I couldn't let it go. As a journalist, curiosity is my job, but this felt personal. I started simple, examining the envelope again over coffee. The handwriting on the front was careful, almost artistic, but unfamiliar. No return address, just the Portland postmark. I snapped photos of it on my phone, then typed the message into my notes app, searching for any matches, online song lyrics, book quotes, nothing. It seemed original. Then it hit me. Old friend. Who could that be? My mind raced through names from the past. College roommates? High school buddies? And then Mia Reynolds. We were inseparable during our journalism program at the University of Oregon, dreaming of exposing big scandals together. But after graduation 8 years ago, she took a job offer out of state and we drifted apart. Last I heard, she'd moved back to the Northwest, but we'd lost touch completely. I searched for her on social media, nothing. Her old profiles were gone or inactive. A quick Google of her name turned up zilch, no recent articles, no LinkedIn. That was odd for someone as ambitious as Maya. My stomach tightened. What if something had happened to her? By midday, I couldn't focus on work. I needed answers. Portland's Central Library in downtown became my destination, the Multnomah County Library, with its grand historic building and vast archives. If anyone knew about missing people or old stories, it would be there. I biked over, the autumn rain starting to drizzle again, typical Portland weather that turns everything moody and gray. The library steps were slick as I chained my bike and hurried inside. The interior always awes me. High ceilings, ornate woodwork, the quiet hum of pages turning. I headed straight to the reference desk on the second floor where they keep the microfilm and digital archives for old newspapers. An elderly librarian, Mr. Harlan, his name tag greeted me with a kind smile. He must have been in his 70s with wire-rimmed glasses and a cardigan that screamed lifelong book lover. "How can I help you today?" he asked. I hesitated, then pulled out my phone to show him the photo of the letter. "I'm researching a personal matter. Looking into someone who might have gone missing, Maya Reynolds, around 8 years ago." His expression shifted slightly, a flicker of recognition. "Reynolds? Let me check the databases." While he typed, I wandered to the newspaper archive section. They had digitized most of the Portland Chronicle and Oregonian back issues. I started searching for Mia Reynolds missing or disappearance Portland. What I found chilled me. Not just Mia, an article from 7 years ago about her vanishing without a trace. She'd been working as an investigative reporter, poking into some corporate scandal, then poof. Police investigated briefly, but no leads. Case cold, but it didn't stop there. As I dug deeper, a pattern emerged. Several people over the past decade, mostly young professionals, activists or journalists, had disappeared in the Portland area. Similar profiles, curious types asking too many questions. The articles were buried, not front-page news. Mr. Harlan returned with printouts. "Your friend ... Yes, it's a sad case. But miss, these disappearances, they're connected in ways the police never admitted publicly." I leaned in. "Connected how?" He glanced around, lowering his voice. "Some say it's more than random. A group, perhaps. Powerful people silencing voices. I've seen researchers come and go asking the same questions. Be careful, this case is dangerous. Some who dig too deep, well, they stop digging." My pulse quickened. Was he warning me off? As I thanked him and gathered my notes, that prickling sensation started, the feeling of eyes on me. I scanned the reading room. Mostly students and retirees, but in the corner, a figure in a dark coat seemed to look away too quickly. By the time I left the library, dusk had fallen and the rain had picked up. Downtown Portland streets glistened under streetlights, umbrellas bobbing like black mushrooms. Walking toward the Max line to head home, I couldn't shake it. Someone was following me. Footsteps echoing mine, but when I turned, no one. Then, across the street, I spotted a shadowy figure, tall, hooded, lingering under a lamppost. They matched my pace. Heart pounding, I ducked into a side street, then another, trying to lose them. But there, again, in the reflection of a shop window, adrenaline surged. Instead of running home, I turned the tables. I hid in a doorway and waited. Minutes later, the figure passed, glancing around. I stepped out and followed, keeping distance on the wet pavement. Who were they and why were they watching me? My suspicions weren't just heightened anymore, they were screaming. After following that shadowy figure through the rainy streets of Portland last night, I lost them near Pioneer Square. They vanished into the crowd, leaving me breathless and more convinced than ever that this wasn't a prank. By the time I got home to my apartment in Alberta Arts, it was late, but sleep was impossible. The library discoveries, the pattern of disappearances, Mia's cold case, Mr. Harlan's warning swirled in my head. I needed more. One article mentioned an old warehouse in Northwest Portland's industrial district as Mia's last known location before she vanished. It was an abandoned building once owned by a biotech firm that went bankrupt years ago. Police had searched it back then, found nothing, but maybe they'd missed something. As a journalist, I've learned that nothing often means no one looked. Hard enough, that night, under the cover of darkness and a steady Portland drizzle, I decided to check it out myself. I dressed in dark clothes, black jeans, hoodies, sturdy boots, and packed a small backpack, flashlight, phone, notebook, pepper spray, just in case. I biked partway, then walked the last blocks to avoid attention. The industrial area near the Willamette River is eerie after hours empty. Lots, chain-link fences, the hum of distant freight trains. The warehouse loomed ahead, a hulking brick structure with boarded windows and graffiti tags fading in the rain. A side door was ajar, chain cut long ago by urban explorers or vandals. I slipped inside, heart pounding. The air was thick with dust and mold, the kind that tickles your throat. My flashlight beam cut through the gloom, revealing rusted machinery, broken crates, and puddles from leaking roofs. I moved cautiously, floorboards creaking underfoot. Up a metal staircase to the offices on the second floor. That's where reports said Mia was last seen investigating. The door to one room hung open. Inside, desks overturned, files scattered like forgotten confetti. That's when I found it, a dusty table in the corner piled with old photographs and handwritten notes. I show my light closer. The photos were grainy surveillance shots, people entering buildings, faces circled in red marker. One was Mia, unmistakable with her curly hair and determined smile. Others were the missing people from the articles. The notes were frantic scribbles. Dates, addresses, phrases like Project Eclipse and silencing witnesses. Symbols I didn't recognize, a stylized eye inside a triangle repeated on several pages. This hinted at something organized, a secret group covering tracks. Not random disappearances, but deliberate. My hands trembled as I snapped photos with my phone. This was big proof. Mia had uncovered something dangerous. Then, without warning, the emergency lights that had been faintly glowing dimmed and died. Total blackout. Pitch darkness swallowed everything. I froze. Flashlight still on, but now my only light. Had I tripped a sensor? Oh, or someone else? The silence was oppressive, broken only by dripping water. Then a shuffle. Footsteps? Slow, deliberate, from the hallway. Someone was here, nearby. Panic surged, but I forced it down. I killed my flashlight, plunging myself into darkness too. Heart thundering, I backed toward the window I'd spotted earlier, feeling my way along. The wall, the footsteps grew closer, echoing in the vast space. I held my breath, counting seconds. A beam swept the room, another flashlight. Searching, they were looking for me. I edged to the window, pried it open quietly. Thank God it wasn't sealed, and climbed out onto a fire escape. Rain pelted my face as I descended, rusty metal groaning. But holding. I dropped the last few feet to the ground and ran, not stopping until I was blocks away, lungs burning, back in my apartment. Soaked and shaking, I locked the door, checked the windows, and collapsed on the couch. Evidence is safe on my phone. This was real, a secret organization, and now they knew someone was digging again. My phone rang then, an unknown number. I almost ignored it, but journalist instinct won. Hello? Silence, then a voice distorted, mechanical like through a modulator. Stay away or else ... The line went dead. Fear gripped me, but beneath it, something else ignited. Anger, determination. They thought a threat would scare me off? After what happened to Mia and the others? No, this only fueled me more. Whatever shadows were hiding the truth, I was going to drag them into the light. The distorted phone call still echoed in my ears the next morning. Stay away or else. Instead of scaring me off, it made me angry. Someone out there thought they could intimidate me into silence the same way they had silenced Mia and the others. They were wrong. I needed help. I couldn't keep breaking into buildings and chasing shadows alone. Among the old articles I pulled from the library, one name kept appearing: Detective Marcus Holley, the lead investigator on Mia's disappearance before he retired 5 years ago. The reports quoted him saying the case didn't add up. But then the trail went cold. If anyone still cared about what really happened, it was probably him. I found his contact information through an old police union directory and called. To my surprise, he agreed to meet that same afternoon at a quiet cafe in southeast Portland near Reed College. Marcus was in his late 60s, tall but slightly stooped, with salt and pepper hair and sharp gray eyes that missed nothing. He listened, without interrupting, as I laid everything out: the letter, the warehouse, the photos, the notes about Project Eclipse, the threatening call. When I finished, he leaned back and sighed. "I knew Mia," he said quietly. "Bright kid. Too. Bright, maybe. She came to me with some of the same things you found: hints of a private group operating behind a biotech front. I pushed as far as I could, but orders came down to back off. Evidence disappeared. Witnesses clammed up. Then I got shuffled into early retirement." He tapped the table. "I never let it go. If you've got new leads, I'm in." Relief washed over me. Finally, someone who believed me. We spent the next day poring over the photos I'd taken in the warehouse. One blurry image showed a hand-drawn map with a circled area in Forest Park, the massive wilderness preserve on the western edge of Portland. Notes beside it mentioned dates and supply drops. Marcus recognized the spot: a remote clearing off an old fire road, rarely patrolled. "We should check it tonight," he said. "If they're active, darkness is when they'll move." That evening, we drove out in his old Subaru, parking a mile away to avoid detection. The rain had stopped for once, leaving the air cold and crisp. We hiked in using headlamps with red filters, moving quietly along deer trails through towering Douglas firs and ferns. Forest Park at night is another world: complete silence, except for the occasional owl or rustle of small animals. After 40 minutes, we reached a ridge overlooking the clearing. Below, faint light flickered. Marcus killed his headlamp and motioned for me to do the same. We crawled forward on our bellies until we could see clearly. There was a camp. 3 large tents, a generator humming softly, and at least 8 figures in dark clothing moving between them. A couple of SUVs were parked under camouflage netting. One person stood apart, directing others as they unloaded crates. Even from this distance, the atmosphere felt wrong: organized, secretive, militaristic. Marcus whispered, "That's no camping trip." We watched for 20 minutes. Then one of the figures glanced up toward the ridge straight at us. Impossible to tell if they'd seen movement, but Marcus grabbed my arm. "Time to go." We backed away slowly, but a shout rose from the camp. Flashlights swept the trees. "They'd spotted us." "Run," Marcus hissed. We bolted down the trail, branches whipping our faces. Behind us, engines roared to life, vehicles starting up, and footsteps crashing through the underbrush. These people were fast. Marcus knew the park better than I did. He veered off the main path onto a narrower trail that dropped steeply toward a ravine. My lungs burned, legs screaming as we slid down loose gravel. Headlights bounced behind us on the fire road. They were driving parallel, trying to cut us off. At the bottom, Marcus pointed to a thick stand of vines and fallen logs. "In there now." We dove into the brush, crawling deep until we were completely hidden. Minutes later, 2 TVs roared past on the trail, riders scanning with powerful lights. They stopped nearby, engines idling. Voices carried on the cold air. "Thought I saw 2. Spread out, find them." I held my breath, heart hammering so loud I was sure they'd hear it. Marcus's hand rested on my shoulder, steady, calm. After what felt like hours but was probably 10 minutes, the ATVs moved on. We waited another 20 before creeping out. We couldn't go back the way we came. Marcus led us on a long looping route through the darkest parts of the park until we emerged miles away near a residential street. Only then did we risk calling a rideshare to get us back to his car. I thought we'd lost everything until I checked my jacket pocket and felt paper. In the chaos, while hiding near the camp before the chase, I'd spotted a clipboard hanging on a tent flap. On impulse, I'd snatched a loose sheet as we fled. Under Marcus's dome light in the car, we examined it, a single page listing names, dates, and locations. My hand shook as I read them. Mia's name was there, along with the others from the warehouse photos. Status column, secured. And at the bottom, a new name added recently. This was the proof we needed. A crucial document linking the disappearances directly to whatever was happening in that forest. Marcus looked at me grimly. They know who you are now, Zara. This just got a lot more dangerous. He was right. But danger or not, we finally had something solid. And I wasn't backing down. The document we'd snatched from that Forest Park camp kept me up all night, its implications burning holes in my brain. Marcus and I pored over it at his cluttered kitchen table in his modest bungalow on Portland's east side, the room lit only by a single lamp casting long shadows. Coffee went cold as we decoded the list. Names of the missing, including Mia, marked secured with dates and cryptic codes like Eclipse Phase 2 and Subject Viability, high. At the bottom my name, Zara Thompson, added just days ago with a note, active threat, neutralize. It wasn't random. This was a ledger from a major corporation, Helix Dynamics, a biotech giant headquartered in Beaverton, just west of Portland. They specialist in neural enhancement therapies, but whispers in old articles hinted at shady dealings of VA violations, whistleblowers silenced. The notes referenced human experiments, volunteers dosed with untested compounds for memory manipulation, behavioral control. The missing were accidents. They were test subjects, snatched for off-books trials. They're playing God, Marcus muttered, rubbing his temples, and we're on their radar. But the real gut punch came when I scanned the Helix names. One entry triggered a flood of buried memories. Dr. Elias Crow, lead researcher. I'd seen that name before, not in articles, but in faded photos from my childhood. Flashes hit me age 10, foster care after my mom's overdose. Vague recollections of special checkups at a clinic, white coats, needles, questions about dreams. I'd blocked it out, chalked it up to trauma. Now it clicked. I was a subject, too. Years ago, Helix had experimented on kids like me, vulnerable Black children in the system, testing early prototypes. My routine life as a journalist? Maybe not so routine. They'd marked me as a loose end because I'd started digging .rage mixed with fear. Mia must have uncovered this, linking the disappearances to Helix's dark history. No wonder she vanished. This wasn't just a story, it was personal. I had to get inside their headquarters, find proof files, hard evidence to blow it open. Marcus protested. Too risky. We go to the feds. No, I snapped. They shut you down before. I need photos, documents, undercover. He relented, grudgingly helping plan. Helix's campus was a sleek fortress, glass towers, security badges, 24/7 guards. But their public tours for investor days were hours in. I posed as Kendra Wells, a tech blogger from Seattle, using a fake ID Marcus sourced from an old contact. Dyed my hair straight black, contacts to lighten my eyes, business casual blazer, slacks, tablet for notes. The next afternoon, under a rare Portland sun, I joined the tour group at the gleaming lobby. Security scanned my bag, but my press credentials doctored past. Our guide, a perky PR rep, droned about revolutionary neurotech saving lives. We toured labs with blurred windows, demo rooms buzzing with prototypes. My pulse raced. Every camera felt like it pierced my disguise. Then the restricted wing. The guide hesitated at a locked door. Executive archives off limits. But during a group photo op, I slipped away, heart slamming. A service hallway led deeper, past humming servers. Ventilation shafts whispered cool air. I pried open an unmarked door. Unlocked arrogance or oversight? Inside, a hidden room dimly lit by computer screensavers. Filing cabinets, linothules labeled by Project Eclipse. Jackpot. I snapped on my phone's light, hand shaking. Folders overflowed, consent forms forged for the missing, lab reports on neural rewiring. Photos of sedated faces, Mia, hollow-eyed, hooked to IVs, and there, pinned to a board, her latest photo, recent, alive but changed, staring blankly. Tears stung. She was in there somewhere or had been my own file, Zara Thompson. Subject Z47, childhood scans, notes on resilient psych monitor for leaks. Flashes intensify painful sessions, erased memories resurfacing. I'd been their guinea pig. My curiosity a side effect of their tampering. Deeper in, a terminal. Password? I tried Eclipse locked. Crow 47, bingo. Files loaded, videos of experiments, victim logs. One email chain, Thompson sniffing around. Terminate inquiry. This was it, the smoking gun. Fingers flew, downloading to a hidden cloud drive that Marcus monitored. Then dash beep. Red lights flashed. Alarm. Doors slammed shut remotely. Intruder alert, Sector 7. Panic exploded. Footsteps. Pounded outside guards. I grabbed Mia's photo, stuffing files into my bra. Event grate above too small? No choice. I climbed, scraping elbows, squeezing through ducts. Air whooshed. Voices below. Female, mid-30s, black. Check vents. Metal clanged as they pried grates. I crawled faster. Dust choking me, emerging in a stairwell. Alarms wailed. Down 3 flights, bursting into the lobby tore over, but chaos masked me. I blended with stragglers, flashing my badge at the exit scanner. It beeped green dash miracle dot outside, sprinting to my rental car blocks away, lungs on fire. Tires screeched as I peeled out, glancing back. Security vans MOB Ili Sign G dot back at Marcus's. Barricaded, I collapsed. Downloads complete, terabytes of horror. But they had my face on the chimeras now, my childhood wasty to this nightmare. Everything changed. I wasn't just chasing truth. I was the story. Helix wouldn't stop, neither would I dot the twist. I wasn't a victim anymore. I was the reckoning. The evidence I'd stolen from Helix Dynamics was explosive files. Photos, videos, all uploaded to secure drives and mirrored with trusted journalist contacts across the country. Marcus and I knew we couldn't wait for authorities to act. Helix would bury it again. We had to force their hand. Marcus called in favors from 2 old colleagues he still trusted. Detective Lena Torres, still active on the force, and Jamal Carter, a former Marine turned private security consultant who'd lost a cousin to one of the disappearances. With their help, we traced the final piece. RDR Elias Crow, the mastermind, was scheduled for a private retreat at an isolated estate on Sovi Island, a rural stretch north of Portland along the Columbia River. The property was owned through shell companies linked to Helix, perfect for off-grid meetings. We moved at dusk. Rain hammered down again, turning the gravel roads into slick rivers. 4 of us, Marcus driving, Lena riding shotgun with her service weapon, Jamal in back with gear, and me clutching the drive with everything we'd collected. My nerves were electric. This ended tonight. The estate appeared through the downpour. Sprawling modern compounds surrounded by wetlands and dense forest, security lights cutting through the mist. We parked a half-mile out and hiked in, cutting through tall reeds. Jamal disabled the perimeter cameras with a jammer. Lena flashed her badge at the gate guard, claiming an emergency warrant. He hesitated just long enough for Jamal to subdue him. Quietly inside the main house, polished concrete floors and floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked black water. Crow was in the great room, standing by a fireplace, glass of whiskey in hand. Mid-60s, silver hair, expensive suit, calm, almost amused as we entered with weapons drawn. "Miss Thompson," he said smoothly, eyes locking on me. I expected you sooner. The others fanned out. Lena cuffed the 2 security men who'd been with him. Marcus kept his gun trained. Jamal swept the room for threats. I stepped forward, voice steady despite the adrenaline. "It's over, Crow. We have everything: files, subject logs, the experiments on children, the abductions. Nia Reynolds is alive in one of your facilities, and we know where. The drives are already with the press and the FBI. You're done." He smiled thinly. "You think it's that simple? Helix has friends in very high places." I held up my phone, live streaming to a secure server. "Not anymore. The world is watching right now." His composure cracked for the first time. He glanced at the windows, nothing but rain and darkness, no escape. But Crow wasn't finished. He set the glass down slowly. "You're brave, Zara. Just like when you were 10. Do you remember the sessions? The lights, the questions, the way we shaped that relentless curiosity of yours?" My stomach twisted. The memories I'd suppressed surged back cold rooms. His younger face leaning over me, promising it would help me think clearer. I'd been his prototype success, a child whose mind resisted erasure, whose drive to seek truth only grew. "Stronger, you made me this way," I said, voice low. "You tried to control me and it backfired, did it?" He reached into his jacket slowly. Marcus tensed, but Crow only pulled out a small remote. "One last card, Zara, your friend." "Mia, she's not just alive. She's conditioned, loyal, and right now she's outside." I froze. The others looked at me, confused. Crow pressed the button, the side door opened. Mia stepped in, soaked from the rain, eyes vacant, a pistol in her hand pointed directly at me. "Mia?" My voice broke. She didn't respond. Her expression was blank, movements mechanical. Whatever they'd done, drugs, hypnosis. Neural manipulation had turned my oldest friend into a weapon aimed at me. "Command override," Crow said calmly. "She eliminate the threat, you." Jamal moved to intercept. Mia fired a warning shot into the ceiling. Lena shouted for her to stand down. Marcus looked at me helpless. Crow's final play forced me to confront the person I'd been. Fighting to save, make me pull the trigger or die trying. My courage wavered for the first time. Handshaking, I lowered my phone but kept the stream running. Tears mixed with rain on my face. "Mia, it's me, Zara. We met in journalism school. We promised we'd expose the truth together. Remember the late nights at the library? The terrible coffee? You told me I was the strongest person you knew." Her aim wavered slightly. A flicker in her eyes. Crow snapped, "Complete the directive." But I stepped closer, unarmed, heart exposed. "They took your choices, but they can't take who you are. Fight it, Mia, for both of us." The gun trembled. Her face contorted pain, confusion, memory breaking through. With a cry, she turned the weapon on Crow instead, dropping him to his knees. The spell shattered. Mia collapsed, sobbing. I caught her as the others moved in, securing Crow in that isolated house, surrounded by storm and darkness. My past and present collided. My courage wasn't in fighting with weapons, it was in believing my friend could still choose light over programming. The conspiracy was broken. But the real test had been trusting that the truth could set even the deepest shadows free. The moment Mia turned the gun on Crow instead of me, everything shifted. The conditioned haze in her eyes cracked wide open, and she dropped the weapon, collapsing into my arms. I held her as she shook with sobs, raw, human sobs that meant she was still in there, still fighting. Crow lunged for the fallen pistol. But Jamal was faster, pinning him face down on the cold concrete floor while Lena slapped cuffs on his wrists. Marcus called it in. Multiple agencies, no more stalling. Within hours, the isolated estate on Sovi Island swarmed with light state police. FBI, even federal marshals who'd been quietly building a case after my anonymous tips hit their desks. The live stream I kept running had already gone viral on secure journalist channels. By dawn, major networks were running the story. Portland biotech giant exposed in illegal human experiments. Helix Dynamics stock plummeted before trading was halted. Executives scrambled, but the evidence was ironclad, terabytes of files. Victim testimonies. Financial trails leading straight to Crow and his inner circle. The raids came fast. First, the hidden facility beneath Helix's Beaverton campus. Then satellite sites and abandoned warehouses across Oregon and Washington. They found them the missing 18 people, including Mia, were kept in medically induced comas or under heavy sedation, wired to machines monitoring neural responses. Doctors on scene said some had been there for years, their minds probed and rewritten in pursuit of Crow's twisted vision of perfect cognition. When Mia was carried out on a stretcher, conscious but weak, she squeezed my hand and whispered, "You kept the promise." I didn't sleep for days. I sat in hospital quarters, gave statements to investigators, and watched as survivors slowly woke to a world that finally believed them. The childhood memories I'd buried resurfaced fully now, no longer fragments but clear, painful truths. But instead of breaking me, they forged something new. I understood why I'd always chased stories no one else would touch, why silence felt like betrayal. Crow hadn't created my strength. He'd only tried to control it. And he'd failed. Crow's trial was swift. With the mountain of evidence and survivor testimonies, including mine and Mia's, he took a plea to avoid the death penalty discussions that swirled in the media. Life without parole. Helix Dynamics dissolved, assets seized to fund victim compensation and independent oversight of biotech research. New laws were proposed in Congress, stricter human trial regulations, mandatory third-party monitoring, and protections for whistleblowers. My byline appeared on the front pages of papers nationwide, But the real victory wasn't the attention, it was the quiet knowledge that vulnerable people would be safer now. Mia moved into my Alberta Arts apartment while she healed. Some days were hard, flashbacks, nightmares, relearning trust, but we talked through them over coffee on the balcony, watching Portland's rain wash the streets clean. She decided to return to journalism too, but slower this time, focusing on survivor stories. Together, we started a small nonprofit, Truth Shield, offering resources and legal help to anyone silenced by powerful institutions. Marcus retired for real this time, but not before receiving a commendation he'd waited decades for. Lena and Jamal became regulars at our Sunday dinners. Family forged and fired artists for me. And still Zara Thompson, 30-year-old black woman from Portland, still biking through the rain with a notebook in my bag. But I'm different now. Stronger, yes, but also softer and playside armored over. I know how fragile truth can be and how fierce the human spirit is when it refuses to stay buried. One evening in spring, I stood on the steel bridge as the sun set over the Willamette, cherry blossoms drifting like pink snow. Mia joined me. Healthier now, her smile real again. We didn't speak for a long time. We just watched the water carry light downstream. The darkness had tried to claim us, tried to rewrite us, erase us, silence us. It failed, because some truths are stronger than any shadow. Some voices refuse to be conditioned. Some lights, once ignited, will not go out, and mine is burning brighter than ever. I am the truth they tried to hide. I am the question they feared. I am the story they could not end, and I'm only just beginning.